Welcome to my video on Love is Blind Season 5, and in this video I'm going to focus on JP and Taylor. And I'm going to try to explain and break down JP and theorize what I think is going on with him when it comes to the scene between him and Taylor over her wearing makeup and his disapproval over that. A simple fact about JP is his love of the American flag. And while this could be an innocent display of nationalism, there is a level of this where it's almost too prideful, and I theorize that there could be conservatism here and also a strong religious background. Now, just a quick pause, my channel specifically is spirituality and astrology, and while it may seem that astrology could be against Christianity or any sort of conservative religion, I deeply study both, and I see both as very useful tools for the progression and spiritual growth of humanity. So I'm not at all badgering organized religion. Now, what we also know about JP, that he had a difficult childhood, and one of those things was that his mother was very harsh on his sisters. Now, the thing that is actually being omitted here is that how was his mother to him? And if his experience was that his mother was harsh to his sisters, well, then that could also display the fact that his mother was kinder to him. She treated him a little bit better in comparison to his sisters. This can create a theory around JP that he may have grown up in a conservative environment, one that acted upon violence that he didn't experience directly towards himself. Therefore, this gave him an upper hand. Now, not only as a man in patriarchy of American history and of conservative religion, but also in the family dynamics. So even though in JP's mind he is helping his sisters, coaxing them through some sort of traumatic experience that they had with the mother, he also has the upper hand in the sense that he was possibly treated with more privilege. Therefore, his trauma is based off of him helping women and him being of the privileged type, him being the one who's untouched, unscathed, which could give him a self-concept, a self-perception that he knows more, that he has more ability to be a superhero to women, that he could see where women could sabotage or get themselves into difficult situations, because his childhood experience was that he would help his sisters through that trauma. JP may have developed a grandiose self-concept, one that is connected to his manhood and masculinity, that feminine and female energy is lost without him, that they don't really know how to navigate the world themselves, that they need his help, and that they don't know what they're doing overall. So this grandiose, privileged energy shows up to me whenever I see his smirk. The smirk suggests to me that he is better knowing than Taylor, and so whatever she has to say isn't relevant, isn't validated, because again, him as young JP helping his sisters who were victims may not actually respect women from the sense that they're not strong enough, they're not smart enough, they're not competent enough to know what to say or to know what they need or want. Therefore, he is the grandiose, highly privileged man who can tell them what is right and what they need and what they want. Conservative is a very distinctive word because it hints to lifestyle, religious, and beliefs, political beliefs as well, but it also showcases within JP due to his silence with Taylor. So conservative also with what he has to say until his moment, his stage occurs, which happens in the scene. So what we know leading up to the scene is that JP isn't talking, he's not speaking, he is conserving his energy, he is holding all of his attention towards his thoughts and what he thinks. Now, this also can translate into a possible lifestyle of religious or political beliefs because of his showcasing the flag. Therefore, he may be putting on display his pride for his conservatism so that he does hold back. He is more reserved. And so this trickles in to why he possibly holds back. It could also be other psychological means, but also when it's time for him to speak, that he speaks about something that would be considered more liberal from a conservative lifestyle, which is a lot of makeup. And now we have to really depict what part religious aspect is this, because like if we look at Christians, there's a lot of Christians who go to church and wear makeup, right? But there are actually very specific sectors that actually forbid makeup, that don't allow it at all. One of those that I believe still uphold that lifestyle are the Amish. And a lot of these ways of living and lifestyle also ask for women to be like multiple wives. So polygamy plays a big role when it comes to this multiple wife thing and can create a lot of rules. And you'll find that it actually parallels a lot of the need for women to not be so out there and to be more modest. So some of these religions that practice polygamy and intertwine some of this are Islam, Mormonism, traditional African religion, Hinduism, and Judaism. So it's not just Caucasian, it's also in other nationalities and in other religious beliefs that you would find men specifically who are dominant in these lifestyles are going to control what the women look like, what they wear, things like that. Because organized religions, and specifically the ones that practice polygamy, are also considered the Abrahamic religions. Like they're connected, not all of them are considered Abrahamic. They're not all related to Abrahamic, like African religion that practices polygamy, but they all typically have a god or a deity that is going to be more male dominated. Now, African and Hinduism will also have feminine deities, but it's still, if they're practicing polygamy, are practicing it as the male as the center and all of the women around them, right? So this creates in a lot of the pride of the males that they are better, that they know better, because they're also have a righteous reason. They're like connected to God. And this also is what I see in JP. Not necessarily the religion, because I don't really know. I theorize on that, but the pride and the righteousness. There's a lack of self-awareness, a backtracking, taking back certain things, not recognizing how one is affecting them. His righteousness is basically dominating the conversation in this scene. Now, some of you might think that I'm stretching here, but if you do your research, you'll see that there's a very specific mindset when it comes to women when you're in some of these lifestyles, especially more old traditional polyamorous lifestyle, where they and mixed in with religion, where they shouldn't wear makeup. Well, that's too enticing. And so these polyamorous lifestyles actually, especially the old traditional ones, put women in a place where they are almost nothing because they're one woman amongst many. And also, they aren't to be too revealing due to religious beliefs. So, this is where my theory is going, that he could be verging on this conservative spectrum. He doesn't reveal to us his past, but there's something here that kind of hints to that. Which brings us back to some of the more modern day themes of spirituality, like the idea of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And I'm going to share with you a clip from one of my favorite astrologers who also, like me, likes to include and accept religion. And the way that she breaks this down really helps you to see where JP went wrong, because in a lot of religions, men lose their connection to God and their purpose, and so they become more righteous instead of actually helping women. And when we tie in the themes of divine feminine, this is where JP actually creates more toxic masculine ideas here, and he's withholding that freedom of divine feminine. But let Alyssa explain to it better, because she does it better than I do.
If he listens to God, he will feel the divine power of his masculine energy, and that is why he's a man in this incarnation. You're a man because you're in tune with God in a way that a woman will not be, because she's more separate from divine masculine, more in touch with divine feminine. So he speaks to the man, which is where the astrologer, he's the one who listens to the stars, who listens to the sky, he sees all that, he can experience it. And then he takes that light that he gets and he shines it on the woman. And she shines it on the woman and says, this is the beauty, this is the glory, this is the light, this is what God wants. Then she feels like she can come alive and she can create alchemy, make things better, and then deliver it back to God. If the man is just having his own conversation with God, the woman is left out because she's dark. Like she's receiving. She's a receiver. And a lot of 2,000 years ago, a lot of this stuff is like, oh, women are evil because they don't know how to shine light. So now women, they think, oh no, I want to shine light. I'm a light shiner. Look at all the light I have. You can see the light inside of me. But the truth is that they lose their light easily and they get dark and depressed. Now they're just pretending. And I feel like that has to do with, it's the same spiritual aspect as it is as regular modern day feminism. We're like, oh no, we don't want that. We just want to shine light on our own. And the problem is it's not like that. Men and women are meant to work together. If a man doesn't work with a woman, he creates shit. It's boring. It's not beautiful. It's just structured numbers and whatever. But if a woman tries to create on her own, no one sees it. It can't come to fruition because no one's shining the light. And it's like, work together. One is not better than the other. If you start thinking that women can shine their own light, you're wrong, because they can't. And that's just the truth. And that is somehow very controversial to people because women want to feel like they can do it all. And you know what? You can. A woman can do it all, but nobody will see it. And that's the truth. And that's why there's this deep desire for women to be noticed and to be looked at. And the more they reject that being noticed and being looked at, the more they turn ugly and abandoned and angry.
Ultimately, religious doctrine becomes more man-made and man-focused rather than the ultimate reason for religion, which is to connect man to God. This quite often happens in all practices of spirituality because man and humans are flawed. And so a lot of these doctrines start to uh, basically stroke the ego of a man versus connect man to God. And when we have those situations, we have situations where a man is not giving his light and beautiful attention to the woman. He's giving this harsh judgmental attention to a woman. He's depleting her of it. And then when we bring in polyamorous energies, especially practiced traditionally, the man actually subdues the woman and pushes her into a secondary state of being, which actually depletes her self-concept, because there's certain beliefs that women are kind of out of order, that the feminine energy is more chaotic. And so what ends up happening in a lot of these situations where a woman becomes second or third or fourth to other women, and it gets lost in the sauce of man-made doctrine, is that she has to actually wipe herself clean, and she can't actually be anything more than modest, which in a lot of ways that modesty would equal a character of her being more humble. And so the humility is one of the things that these man-made religious doctrines really want to create. They want to create this humility because they believe that that is what is more mothering. And so there's this loss and this idea that a woman can be a mother and humble enough to take care of her children, but also be more showing off, seductive and attentive. This is where we also get the Madonna whore complex, where a woman has to be one and not both. So basically, the rise of the divine feminine, which is a topic that's popular in the spiritual community, would say that, women have been pushed under these harsh man-made rules that they claim are, their connection to God. And so the divine feminine has been fighting really hard to stand for women, right? The movement for the divine feminine. And one of those movements was the feminist movement, where, women really just nailed it in and and was aggressively fighting hard. And so the divine feminine movement, according to Alyssa, needs man. It needs men, but they have to have a connection to God that pours light back into the woman, versus these man-made doctrines which basically just make man feel like he's better than women. And this even goes back to even like the Bible and Adam blaming Eve. So man loses his true connection to God and his purpose when it comes to relating to women. And so the divine feminine also, it can be considered a dark feminine trait. The divine feminine becomes dark feminine, and this happens spiritually and has been happening spiritually for eons, where because the divine feminine is not getting the pure light from the man, she can turn dark, because in spirituality, feminine is chaos. And so even if a man tries to control her, he can't. Instead of giving her the light that she needs to flourish, she'll become the dark that destroys. And so this is why, in my opinion, spiritually, Taylor leaving the relationship is the most healthiest thing that she can, because ultimately she'll go into another aspect of herself that is fighting really hard to destroy the thing that is trying to control her, which is JP's character, demeanor, and beliefs and lifestyle.